Thanks for clicking on to the Hump Day edition of Vogan's European Outlook. It's Wednesday, what date is it? The 17th of April. Hope everybody is well wherever you are. We do continue to have that northwesterly airflow at the moment, driving in some fairly fresh conditions. But it looks as if we are going to see higher pressure building as we move towards the upcoming weekend. How much that lingers remains to be seen, but nonetheless, it will be a break from all the wet weather that we've seen. By the way, this was the frontal system that moved south back on Monday, and it looks as if there was tornadoes confirmed both in the Stoke-on-Trent area or surrounding area, and also in Nottingham back on Monday as well. It was actually something I forgot to address in yesterday's video, talking about this, about the cold front moving through, a very potent front at that, very intense band of wind and rain moving south, erasing that kind of warmer air that we had in place. And what happened was we had, if you really zoom right in, so we'll play initially through the radar loop. So this is a tweet off the Met Office, and you can see that band of intense rain, embedded thunderstorms moving south and cleaning out the air. But as it did so, we had an element of spin within the atmosphere. As you go up through the column, there is both a change in wind speed and wind direction with height. And when you have that, that can create rotation within the atmosphere. And along that boundary, we had what is known as a bow echo, and it's like little bows on radar that appear. And what that is it's an area of straight line winds, but where the bow actually, it's almost like the join of each bow. I hope this is the right way I'm describing it, or as straightforward as possible. But at that little join of each bow, you have like an area of a micro low that can develop, and within that very area, you can have the development of a tornado, and that appears to be what we've seen back on Monday over and just around the Stoke-on-Trent area. So this is a tweet here by Ravinder Sin Sin, and this was a capture from a home CCTV camera. And you could argue that that was just simply straight line winds, but I believe it has been confirmed, I think anyway, that this was actually a tornado that they developed. So rather interesting stuff, not only in near to Stoke-on-Trent, but also further south and, well, further east actually for Nottingham. And we've seen that develop in the Nottingham area as well. So fairly significant amounts of damage that was reported. Let me see if I can find any evidence of the damage. This was received from West Brightford. See here the damage that was caused by the possible tornado in the Nottingham area. Certainly, I believe the first incident of two tornadoes, according to Weather and Radar UK Ireland, it's been confirmed that was a tornado in Nutton, which I believe is just outside Stoke-on-Trent. So a rather interesting event during the course of Monday, and that frontal system essentially is the one that has now cleaned out the air mass even in Central Europe. These were the daytime temperatures across Europe yesterday. Much fresher conditions compared to what we've seen over the weekend. And it was that very frontal system that moved right the way down through the heart of the UK, into the near continent, across Central Europe, and essentially cleaned the atmosphere out. So we did hold on to some significant warmth across the Balkan region, parts of Greece, into Turkey during the course of yesterday afternoon. And these are the current temperatures at the time of recording, which is around 5 p.m. You can see here much fresher conditions now into southeastern areas of Europe here. The heat is only confined really to southern Iberia and far southeastern and far eastern Europe here. So interesting stuff. Now, according to the Met Office deep dive yesterday, Alex Deakin had said that not only do we have twice the average rainfall for the entire month of April in some areas, including the Edinburgh area, but also for the entire spring. So meteorological spring being from March, April, and May. Those 3 months are known as meteorological spring. Apparently, there is parts of the UK, especially parts of Northern Ireland, northwestern England, southern Scotland, eastern Scotland. There has been the entire spring amount of rainfall, so that's factoring in the entire period. There's already been an entire spring's worth of rain fallen, and we're only halfway through the season. So that's quite impressive, actually, and that really kind of coincides with what's been going on in even the longer term. You have to go all the way back through the winter season, through the autumn season. The amount of rainfall has been quite significant. And exactly the reasons behind that, I think some of that even extends back to last summer. Very strong negative North Atlantic oscillation during the July through August into September time period. What that negative NAO pattern does is it forces the jet stream further south. And with a record breaking warm subtropical and tropical Atlantic, and also all the way up to the UK and Ireland vicinity, when you've got that south displaced jet, when you've got a strong area of high pressure over, Iberia, northwestern portions of Africa, this is the type of upper air pattern that you achieve. So this is the period between November 9th last year and the 9th of April this year. This was sent to me by Richard Trott, and I greatly appreciate Richard's contribution. He's a big contributor to Gav's weather vids, but he's also helped me out quite a lot with some findings. And Richard, thanks very much for sending this. But you can see here, this is the upper air pattern for the 9th of November through the 9th of April. And really, this speaks volumes because a lot of people are saying, why the heck have we seen so much rain? Definitely the warm Atlantic. That is one thing. The remarkable, significant positives that we've seen. So the blocking up across the Baffin Straits, Greenland, across to Canada, that then forces the jet stream to further south latitudes, and by doing so, you're then forcing the storm track, the low pressures that develop in a warmer source region than, say, up further north towards the south of Greenland, for example. If you had that direct westerly jet, you would be driving um, an air mass that is a lot less warm and holds a lot less moisture if it was the storm track was further south. But the fact that the storm track has been displaced to the south, but we've also had this persistent block of high pressure northwestern Africa up into Iberia, hence why we've seen the significant drought through the Canary Islands and eastern portions of Spain. You're then redirecting that storm track up into the UK and Ireland here. This is another nice way of looking at it. So this is looking right down over the pole here. And look at the strong positive where the two positives are centered. One over the Hudson Bay and the Baffin Straits, the other over northwestern Africa extending into Iberia. That then forces the storm track in between those two highs and straight across the UK and Ireland. And when you factor in El Nino, which definitely has influenced the warmer atmosphere, but also the wetter atmosphere, as well as that, you've got the very warm Atlantic here. So all the ingredients have been coming together in the last 6 or 7 months to produce the type of wet pattern that we've seen. So as you can see in today's title of the video, we're in search of something drier. Now, if you look at the CFSV2 weeklies, this is the upcoming period here. So this is the next 7 days according to the model. You've got wetter than average conditions across the Low Countries, extend through much of Germany here, and then also extending southeastwards here. So parts of Italy, the Balkan region, right up the eastern side of Europe, wetter than average. The driest compared to average, arguably, is across France, Spain, Portugal, UK, and Ireland here. This is the upcoming 7 days. This is the following 7 day period. Still, according to the CFSV2 weeklies anyway, drier than average here. Then as we move into the period, first week of May, again, drier than average. This doesn't mean we're not going to see any rain, by the way, but it looks as if the overall pattern may be changing, and it could be for a relatively lengthy period of time. This could be the most sustained period of dry conditions since June of last year, believe it or not. If, and it's a big if, this has any sort of merit. So take away the temperature idea, take away whether it's going to be cooler than average or warmer than average. I think, to be honest with you, most people would rather know that the pattern is going to turn drier. Don't care about it being a heat wave, don't care about it being really cold. The fact that we could somehow dry this pattern out somewhat would be, I think, the real take home here. And then as we continue to press through the month of May, you can see here average conditions. And this is going away out to fantasy land, obviously, so you have to take that with a major pinch of salt. But it looks as if even the CFSV2 is indicating that the dry theme maintains itself all the way out to the 22nd through the 29th of May. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? And we'll wait and see what happens. Now, in the shorter term, the Arctic, not the Arctic Oscillation, the MJO looks as if it's heading into the null phase, but it's heading towards a more blocky theme. So you have to kind of take this with a somewhat of a pinch of salt. But you notice here that it kind of it went into the null phase in the warm phases of 4 and 5, and it's now expected to edge in a very weak state here through phases 6 into 7 into 8 into 1 here. That constitutes a blocky type pattern. And if you look at the Arctic Oscillation, there's actually evidence to support that. Now, you have to take this not so much literal, because with the MJO being in the null phase, it means that there's less forcing within the mid to high latitude pattern. When it's stronger, when it's more pronounced, it tends to have a better influence towards the pole. But you can see here, very strong positive Arctic Oscillation. Remember, we've seen the record breaking heat to end month of March, begin the month of April here. A lot of heat across Europe, and the storm track has been firmly across the UK and Ireland here. It's expected to go into negative territory, as you can see here. The North Atlantic Oscillation, very similar idea here. It too is expected to be kind of on the neutral line at the moment here. Dips a little bit negative, and then it kind of goes positive, and then it drifts back negative once again. So we'll need to keep an eye on that and see what happens over the next wee while or so here. But yeah, let me see what else there is to show you, because it does look as if we could have some flirtations with northeasterly, easterly airflow as we move forward here. This is off the GFS model, by the way, and you can see that we've got plenty of shower activity across, especially the bulk of England and Wales, parts of Ireland, as we progress through the second half of today. There's that area of high pressure across the Atlantic. That will eventually start to kind of trundle its way towards the UK and Ireland as we progress through towards the upcoming weekend here. Features running the eastern flank of that area of high pressure mean that we're going to continue to see showers, longer spells of rain into the day tomorrow, and then it's really as we go into the weekend that things should start to settle down. Once that area of low pressure moves southwards, reinforcing the chilly theme in the air, we should start to see the isobars spread out. That high then limps across the UK, means that we relax the pattern. With sunshine at this time of the year, it should feel reasonably warm out there. Under clear skies and light winds, we should see a frost, especially away from towns and cities, over the next few days here. So the GFS sees that area of high pressure almost bang slap over the UK right the way through during the course of Sunday. As we progress into the day on Monday, this is when things may start to get a little bit interesting, because the GFS and other models have that high starting to kind of drift a little bit to the west northwest. We have to keep our eyes on colder that's gathering over Scandinavia that is already over the central portions of the continent. If that high then starts to nudge westwards, northwest, we may introduce something a little bit colder. And if we look at the 850s off the same model, you can see what I'm talking about here. A possibility of something drifting in underneath that retrograding area of high pressure. We'll go back to the here and now. So there's that chilly air getting driven in on the eastern side of the high pressure to the west, low pressure to the east. You've got a northerly airstream in between that, and the UK finds itself in between those two systems. As we progress through the course of the weekend, we somewhat cut that northerly feed of air, but we still have chilly air in place. That then leads to mild days and fairly cold nights, something we've not seen. And this is the time of the year, March, April, even into early May, you can get big diurnal temperature changes. We have not seen any of that. I've not recorded a single frost this month so far because we've had that much cloud, breeze, and rainfall. That may change and will change probably in the coming days to come. And then as we play through the course of the weekend here, as that high kind of just shifts ever so slightly to the west northwest, there's that colder getting kind of drawn in from the east. And we'll pay attention to this over the next few days because the model could change in a heartbeat. We know that already. So that's it for today. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I do greatly appreciate that. Welcome to new subscribers. Thanks for the existing subscribers sticking around. I do greatly appreciate that. Before I go off on holiday early next week, going to have a hurricane forecast, going to have more ideas on the summer of 2024 as well, and live stream this upcoming Sunday. There is a video now being created for that as well, so I will leave a link in the description below tomorrow's video and beyond for the upcoming weekend live stream. Looking at the Dubai rainfall situation and other aspects globally at the moment here, that will be on Sunday this weekend. So stay tuned for that. Like, share, and subscribe. Like I say, I'll see you again hopefully tomorrow with more. Bye for now.